collected their PVCs. Do you have the information? It's easy to check based on polling unit by polling unit distribution of collection.
Yes, it's 6,925.
Oh, okay.
6,925.
Reasons for the cancellation?
The reasons for cancellations, basically overvoting in some polling units, and then there was violence in one of the registration area. Those are the reasons, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments to leaders? Any observation? Okay, please submit your results. Let me record. Thank you. That was what I was getting. These are the incidents and the reports. The incidents and reports. The 40G. Okay. Okay. Collection Secretariat, any more? Do you have any more? No more. Okay. Tomorrow I'm sure many more will come. So on this note, I would like to thank the party agents, thank Jack from TAF Africa, thank the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, thank the security agencies, national commissioners of the commission, other officials of the commission and the media. Good night. Tomorrow proceedings will begin at 11 o'clock. And hopefully, if all the states come in, we'll conclude tomorrow. Good night.
All right, you've been watching live proceedings from the 2023 General Elections Collation Center, where some presidential results from some states have been announced. And Amaka?
Absolutely. Well, Christian, it's been an interesting day, but what we have just witnessed just a few minutes ago is, of course, the rolling out of the results by the collation officer of Nasarawa State. Speaking of Professor Ishaya Tanko, and from the results rolled out right now, the Labour Party, speaking of the presidential election, actually has won Nasarawa State with 191,361. That's the Labour Party winning Nasarawa State. That's the presidential polls as ruled out by the collation officer of INEC, Professor Ishaya Tanko, with 191,361. And
the All Progressives Congress polled 172,922 votes in Nasarawa there. And PDP came, well, what you may call a little distant third there with 147 1,000 votes there, and 93. And of course, NNPP with just 12,716 votes. So the INEC chairman has said that the collation will resume at 11 a.m. tomorrow. You're still watching Newsnight on the special broadcast. Well, it's Newsnight, but it's the special broadcast of Newsnight with the general elections, presidential elections being announced 2023. I am Christian Nobodo.
And I am Amaka Odewalker. We do know that during the course of the day, we did see some states being rolled out. We'll be looking at those results and also the controversies trailing those results and the ones that we haven't even received just yet.
Particularly with the letter of former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, very succinct and direct. And we have an analyst here, Professor Abiodun Adeni,
Well,
to
before we
dissect
come to
it.
Prof,
Yeah.
let's actually bring you up to speed in case you don't know about the letter. Christian was speaking about the controversy over the collation and uploading of results continues today. A former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has recommended that all elections that do not pass the credibility and transparency test should be cancelled. Obasanjo says elections where beavers and servers have been manipulated must be declared void.
Have been allegedly compromised to make what should have worked not work and to revert to manual transmission of results, which is manipulated and the results doctored. The chairman of INEC may claim ignorance, but he cannot fold his hands and do nothing when he knows that election process has been corrupted and most of the results that are brought outside beavers and servers are not true reflection of the will of Nigerians who have made their individual choice. At this stage, we do not need wittingly or wittingly to set this country on fire with the greed, irresponsibility, and unpatriotic act of those who allegedly gave money to INEC officials for perversion and those who collected the blood money. Let me appeal to the chairman of INEC, if his hands are clean, to save Nigeria from the looming danger and disaster which is just waiting to happen. If the chairman can postpone elections 4 days to the election 4 years ago, he can do everything to rectify the errors of the last 2 days.
Former Nigerian president there, Olusegun Obasanjo, raising very succinct concerns about the integrity of the results being released and speaking about money for perversion and blood money. Well, we'll come to that. And is that the Yobe result?
Yeah.
Yes, and well, this is the correct result for Yobe State now. I think the APC polled 151,459 votes. APC 151,459 votes. And I think Labour Party there has 2,406 votes. And
the new Nigerian People's Party and its candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, 18,270. And of course, the winner of Yobe State, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, is the People's Democratic Party and its candidates, Atiku Abubakar, polling 198,567. That's 198,567 to be declared the winner of the presidential polls, looking at the results out of Yobe State.
Yeah, that's the correct position.
Absolutely. And the results, as we get them, will bring you up to speed. But of course, let's talk about the National Peace Committee, which says it has received reports of voter suppression manifested across the country through targeted violence, disruption of process, inducement of voters, intimidation, as well as deliberate frustration of the voters. A statement signed by the national chairman of the committee, General Abdusalami Abubakar, retired, says the committee is pleased that the Independent National Electoral Commission has accepted the lapses and promised to rectify it. The statement appeals to security agencies to collaborate with INEC in their investigation on the weighty allegations. The committee wants concerns about failure of INEC result viewing portals across the country thoroughly investigated. The Peace Committee is asking candidates and their party chairman to take full responsibility for the statements made by their spokesperson and agents while appealing to citizens to remain calm.
And the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Monday declared the candidate of the Labour Party winner of the presidential election conducted in Lagos. Elections returning officer Professor Adenike Oladiji declared that Obi scored a total of 582,454 votes to defeat Tinubu, who is the candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress. According to INEC, Tinubu scored a total of 572,606 votes. Tokunbo Yetuji has the details.
One after the other, returning officers from the 20 local government council areas of the state come in, lay bare the reports of proceedings of the presidential election from their different domains.
LP 13270.
It is a process that lasts all night with intermittent breaks resulting from either late arrival of results from some of the councils or some query by party agents.
Yes, madam. What I have there is 29,222. 29,222. Okay, is it a case of the president signing a blank result sheet?
Where by the early hours of Monday, all the results have come in, although it will take some more careful computation before the final figures are put out to the public. Then the moment the entire state and the nation have been waiting for, as the elections returning officer declares the figure the way they have been allocated to parties and their candidates by the electorate since Saturday.
Total number of accredited voters: 1,347,152. The distribution of the votes according to parties is as follows: APC 572,606. 572,606. LP 582,454. 582,454. NNPP 8442. NNPP 8442. PDP 75750. 75750.
Mixed reactions as the exercise finally winds down.
Democracy at work. The people have spoken, people have their voices. We're going back to review our process. There's a popular saying, when a child falls, he looks forward. When an elder sleeps, we'll look back to look at what got him sleep. It calls for a review of our process.
There's no doubt that this is a historic moment for us in Nigeria, especially in Lagos State. Everything you've seen is that Nigeria are desirous of a change, and an eminent change has come. We thank God for making it possible, irrespective of attacks, intimidation, suppression of votes, and everything. Nigerians stood firm in what they believe in, and they used their PVC to effect these mandates.
About 48 hours after the Presidential and National Assembly elections opened here in Lagos, the exercise has finally been brought to a close with the announcement of the result here at the Collation Center behind me in this building, with winners and losers emerging. But of course, all the parties involved know that it's not yet the end of the game. All attention will now shift to the National Collation Center in Abuja, where the announcement of who will be making as the next president of the Nigeria for the next 4 years will be made. Tokunbo Oyetunji, Arise News, Lagos.
Okay, Arise on the list, like we said, Professor Abiodun Adeni is absolutely. And Prof, let's start with the biggest story. That is eating the politics right now. It's former President Obasanjo's letter. And it's used very strong words, It's like a betrayal of trust from those in INEC, from the chairman and everybody in their situation room. Look at the kind of words the former president used. Money for perversion of justice, the people's will, and blood money. Those are terrible words.
Well, I think the moments are charged. The moment is very tense, and of course, you do not expect people who are disenchanted, who are probably not happy, not to ventilate, through bearing their minds. And of course, typically Obasanjo will always talk. Apart from issuing a statement, he made a broadcast reminiscence of his days when he was in power. But again, you will have expected that because of his level, a respected elder international statesman, there are some words you probably wouldn't want to hear him use, because respected as he is, there are some things that border on assumptions, that need to be proven, to be proved before conclusions can be drawn. Blood money, what money is blood?
With the likes of former President Obasanjo just be assuming, with the myriad of intelligence at his disposal, with his experience as former head of state, two-time president of Nigeria, assumption?
Yeah,
Prof?
Christian, take it easy. Blood money, Obasanjo, despite all his status, his pedigree, he remains a human being, okay? He's still vulnerable to anger, still vulnerable to partisanship once in a while. And this does not detract from his status, his achievement, as the case could be. But the point I was making is that, assumptions remain assumptions. Some of these things will still have to be proved before we can be definitive. And that's the point I'm making. But it doesn't take away the concern that he's letting out. Those concerns are legitimate. We have had party agents also made those express themselves today, by leaving the collation center. These are legitimate processes as long as it doesn't degenerate into violence. But the point we also have to make is that, look at all the major contestants, for instance. Peter Obi, Peter Obi has contributed a lot into the development of this country, particularly through the judiciary. He's recorded to have broadened, expanded our jurisprudence by being the first person that went to court, and created the ground for the beginning of off-season election, because several times he went to court in Anambra, and that's why we have Peter Obi that we have today as a two-time governor, a reputable politician, and an outstanding, a person who has contributed into the deepening of our democracy, the evolution of our democracy. The courts are still there for him to resort to, as the case could be. If at the end of the day we think that he should win and he didn't win, or he's not declared as a winner. Then if you look at PDP too, Atiku is reputed to be a fighter. Several times he fought President Obasanjo as vice president. Obasanjo will probably have eased him out as vice president, but of course he was reminded through the instrumentality of the Supreme Court that look, you came here on a joint ticket, and of course he remains with you until the end of after.
It is not over.
So the point I'm making is this: Atiku, as a flag bearer PDP can also has a channel to pursue his cause. But the important point we should take in the immediate circumstance is the fact that, Obasanjo also alluded to it, that INEC can embark on a remedy in the meantime. Let's identify areas where we think that the election has been rigged, because the votes cast, weren't uploaded onto the INEC server. As the case may
Well,
be.
Prof, you're
And if
taking me
that's the
directly
case,
to the next question I was going to ask you, because Obasanjo, as we know, he's one, they like to call him the man of letters. But this time around, he's speaking, so Nigerians know it's not just about putting pen to paper. But he's made some serious demands right now. One of them you've actually alluded to. He says, you know what, the process has been corrupted.
Yeah.
So he's calling that results should be cancelled, and even the polls should be cancelled in certain areas where the server did not get those results on time. And he's also called for a committee to be set up, having the 4 top leading political parties and their candidates, and even maybe the NBA president should be a part of it, and some elder statesmen to really sit down and find a way forward. So my question to you right now, in the middle of what we're going through as a nation, how realistic is this demand of the former president?
Well, they're very concerning, and that's probably a way to go. And I think INEC chairman also alluded to it, that if concerned parties or agitating parties have identified areas where there are discrepancies between the original result and the one that were brought to Abuja, they should bring those results to the attention of INEC, and they will deal with it at the end of the exercise. But I think the point of disagreement is that it should be dealt with now, not at the end. That's what that seems to be the bone of contention. But overall, I want to believe that the leaders, the INEC leaders, will sit over these things and provide the best options, because the issues that have been raised are very concerning, they are very disturbing, they impinge on the integrity of the process. And of course, if an election is supposed to be free, fair, credible, and transparent, it's a problem for us, realizing that we have worked at it for the last 23, 24 years to improve the credibility, enhance the credibility of our election. And if we're having this kind of experience that we're having, it's taking us years back to where we ordinarily would not want to be. But I think it's not all damning yet. There are still points of resolution. And that's the most important thing. Instead of
points of resolution, where?
Points of resolution.
Where? Where can we find it now, in the middle of what he's demanding, as well as he's re-echoing what a lot of these political parties have been saying all day? So where is that point of resolution that you're alluding to?
The chairman says he's going to address us tomorrow on IRF. Okay, and we don't know what is in the bag yet. He's probably going to be speaking to all that. And maybe, we don't know, he might decide to suspend it from then on or conclude the election, as the case could be. Whatever he says, I think we cannot take issues further.
All right, Professor Abiodun Adeni Arise, analyst and deputy dean, Faculty of Arts, Bayes University. Thanks so very much.
Thank you, Christian.
Nice. It is time for a short break. We'll be back with plenty more to look into. Stay with us.
Available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today. 34 million hectares of arable land. Over 200 200 million people. One nation. Home to Africa's fertilizer company. Dangote fertilizer. Pure urea fertilizer.